buy, be it first-time buyers that are just standard first-time buyers. Highlights. I'm also going on YouTube as well, so they will record it all, so you can see the full view from YouTube. So after the end of this, if anything comes up, then by all means, please, check out the YouTube. Okay, so let's start with the first question. So the first question is, I've been waiting on the council to get back to me to do the valuation. Now, a lot of people have been asking me about the valuation. I had a really good talk with someone in the week, and basically this is what it is. When you originally filled out the RTB1 form, you actually said, done this work on my property. Now, what you do is with the work property, you think about it. So when you're showing people around for the valuation, because obviously a council property, you'll be showing them around, whatever order you do. So if you start with the front room, then the back room, and you go like that, write down. So in the front room, what work have you done on it? What issues are there with it? In the back room, same thing, kitchen, dining room, bedrooms, etc. And then as you're taking people round, you can talk to them. You'll have a list in front of you, either on your phone or on a piece of paper, and you can list it all. So you can go through what you think that is. And then that way, at least you can highlight to them, and it makes you feel more comfortable. You can practice it a couple of times as well, whatever you feel comfortable. But a lot of people felt really nervous. Might move or Zoopla or whatever, and you get the spec of what the property is. You can then look at how many bedrooms has it got, what has it got, and then I have actually got a checklist, which are, if you put in the comments checklist, I will send this to you, and it literally says the things that you need to check when you're looking at a property. So from that, simple things like you open the cupboards and check if there's mold in the cupboards, like those kind of cupboards that are set to the wall, fitted cupboards, you check that kind of thing. You put a piece of paper next to the window and see if the paper moves to see if there's a draft. There's so many different tips that you can do. You can even lie on the floor if there's no there to try and get an assessment of furniture and how it would work. There's a lot of things to know. Always check service charge if it's a flat, ground rent, check how long the lease is. Those are really important things for a flat. Obviously, when it comes to a house, just double check it's freehold. Don't assume it is. The difference between leasehold and freehold is you don't own the land the property's on, and you're leasing it for a certain amount of time. Yes, you're buying the flat or whatever, but it's the actual individual. But bear it in mind, please, within, how can I put this? Within, I'm losing my words. Right. What I would say is always be cautious with this. So if you apply for a credit card, great. Only apply for one. And then also apply for a low limit. When I mean low, I just mean a couple of hundred. And based on that, with a couple of hundred, what you would actually do is a couple of £100 limit. That's what I mean. You can use it for groceries, petrol, something like that, and pay it off in full every single month. And then they will see that you can actually manage credit well. And that's the good way to do it. The first thing you've got to do is make sure you're on the electoral roll. Make sure you're on the electoral roll, and you can opt out voting if you want, but make sure you're on the electoral roll, because they will want to know your address history. That really does help with your credit report. So the next question is, I've never had a credit card. I didn't know I needed it. Does this mean my credit's going to be low? Yes, pretty much it is going to be low. But as I've said to a lot of people, by all means, DM me, and I'm more than happy to do a free affordability profile on you, and we can discuss that one-to-one basis. But generally speaking, if you've never had a credit card or a loan, even your phone, if you buy a phone and you're paying for it monthly, that could be a credit commitment. If you've got pay for gas, electric, that kind of thing, that could also be a credit commitment. The next thing is what's the other thing? If you're looking for things that could be credit commitments, there are things like car insurance as well. That's also a credit commitment. Anything that you agree to pay monthly. So that brings me on to the whole Kalana and buy now, pay later. Now, I had a big conversation with a few people about this, and my understanding is, lenders don't particularly like it. Now, a lot of people have said, oh, but it's been fine and I've got a mortgage and that kind of thing. What I would like to say is, what I meant by that is, right. So what I meant by this is lenders see it as a credit commitment. A lot of people think buy now, pay later is free money, like a store card is free money. When you get like Next and things like that, store cards, but it's not, it's actually a credit commitment. So when you're actually working out your affordability, that has to be put down, and it can reduce your affordability. So what I meant by that was, what will happen is, if you have a lot of buy now, pay laters, some see it as you can't actually manage your own finances because you can't buy anything in cash. You're literally just putting everything on credit commitment. So it can be seen to not be advisable, but it just depends on how many you have. But a lot of people who I've spoken to, and they've said they've got a few buy now, pay laters, and they've never had an issue. When I've actually checked their affordability, it is really, really good. So if you've got really good affordability, i.e. you've got a high income, your credit cards are all paid off, you haven't got loans and things like that, then a couple of buy now, pay laters, they're absolutely right, isn't going to affect the mortgage at all whatsoever. But if you've got more than, say, 4 or 5, and you've got credit cards, you've got car finance, you've got other personal loans, then unfortunately it is going to start making a dent. So that was my point. What I did is I contacted quite a few lenders. Lenders like I contacted Metro Bank, Halifax. Who else did I contact? I contacted HSBC, I contacted a few others, Santander, things like that. And these are some of the comments that they came back with. So when we're asking for lender eligibility concerns, so one of the lenders said that they don't have any major concerns. They treat it as a credit agreement. Multiple agreements suggest reliance on short-term finance, which may be a concern. Another lender said they will just assess everything on a case-by-case basis, and they will ask them what it's used for and its frequency, and they will look at account conduct. So that's how well they've been managing that account. Others have said they include it in their internal credit scoring. As I mentioned before, they don't look at what figure you got from Experian or TransUnion or Equifax. They actually take the data from those credit files and they do their own credit scoring. And based on how you've been, if you've got any store late payments or things like that, that will all be taken into consideration. Someone else who is an adverse lender said no significant impact unless there's been excessive use or mispayments in the last 3 months. So that's something to bear in mind. And considering the majority of people are getting their mortgage right now, so what did you do over Christmas? Were you cautious over Christmas, or how did it go? The next one is concerns arise with significant credit agreements. So what they said by significant, if there's more than 3 or 4 buy now, pay laters, this is Kalana and some of the others, then they will note it as a slight concern. Another building society said no specific buy now, pay later criteria. They evaluate the overall commitments, and mispayments will be a deterrent, so that will put them off. Another lender said acceptable with evidence of good bank conduct. Continuous usage suggests clean credit reports. So that means, not a lot of, not if any of these buy now, pay laters. They said in their internal credit scoring and affordability. The next one said it is case dependent. So you evaluate your reports, your behaviours. The next one, which is a high street lender again, they said frequent use suggests financial pressure. Occasional use is acceptable, but with good financial contact. All credit use, including buy now, pay later, is assessed and can impact your application. That's another high street lender. And another one says they will take it offline and manually underwrite it if there is frequent reliance on buy now, pay later. This is seen negatively. So I know quite a few people did jump on and say it isn't an issue, but it are, and they are thinking that it is a concern. Now, as I said right at the beginning of this live, I'm just going through comments, and will obviously do, I think, the first 10 minutes or so of it, and then I can do some live highlights. I'm also doing on my YouTube channel, which is of the same name, and you can actually get the whole thing. You can get the whole thing then. So please feel free to jump onto my YouTube, and also I'd appreciate if you'd subscribe as well. I could use all the support to keep my channels going, so I can give all this free advice that I love to do. Right now, I'm just going to do a few comments. So first is, can I buy to let mortgage through a limited company? If so, what do I need to get? Okay, the way it works with buy to let limited company, you set up a limited company as a special purpose vehicle. You can either do it yourself, as long as you get the right SIC codes, or you can get an accountant to do it. The good thing about buy to let through a limited company is there are tax advantages, because it allows you to deduct the interest of the mortgage as a taxable business expense, when if you buy a buy-to-let in your own name, unfortunately, you can't do like what you used to do. Obviously, everybody knows I bought my buy-to-let properties years ago when I was in my 20s, and it was a completely different kettle of fish. But as new governments come in, they have different rules. The other thing I wanted to discuss was other questions that have been coming through. So as I said, a lot have been coming through about credit reports, and I'm more than willing, as you can check in my bio, there's links to my courses on how to improve your credit, and also how to get review. We can do our sessions. So I do one-to-one sessions on how to improve your credit. The next one is yes, please. So someone's asked me about a list of banks to do with the interest accounts. Now, I can give you links to high street, the best high street saving account, example, saving up for a deposit. So I can give you links to those, but I'm not really, because I'm an independent mortgage advisor, I'm not allowed to sort of talk about lenders. Because I'm an independent mortgage advisor, I'm not allowed to sort of talk about lenders and particular rates. Social media, I'm not allowed to. I can only general, so I can't name specific banks and things like that. I need you to DM me, and we'll go from there. I've recently got an A card too. Yeah, I'd need to look individually. Right, if you already have a special purpose vehicle and 25% deposit, do you need anything else? No, I would sometimes recommend this if you're planning to staircase, and with shared ownership, what you can do is you can actually you can pay your stamp duty early. Stamp duty, then you'd have rise to stamp duty later on, which you don't want. You want to cover it off now while the property is lower. So hopefully that makes sense. But again, if it doesn't, please just DM me, and we will go from there. Right, what other questions have we got? Right, the best way to find a solicitor, I gave information about the solicitors I use. I prefer solicitors that I can get hold of, and while I'm doing the mortgage application with, I can work with them as well, and that helps. You can get free legal with some lenders, but free legal, you pay for what you get, and with free legal there can be delays, and especially if you're right to buy, what would happen is you would sometimes there's delays and you run out of time because you've got like the 12-week window. So that's something to be aware of. Someone else talking about their credit score. Again, I hope everybody understands what I mean by the credit score now. Your credit score is for you to understand your credit. Same with the green, amber, red. It's all for you to work on your credit. They're actually trying to help you improve your credit, right? So that's the reason why they're doing it. But when it comes to physical lenders, what they're first time landlord. Now, there aren't not there are a handful of lenders that will allow you to do that. Not all lenders will, because as far as they're concerned, you haven't got the experience of ownership. So as I said before, DM me and I will in your own name. You are still seen as a first-time buyer, so then you can use your own, use it twice, once for your limited company because it's its own legal entity, and then once when you buy it in your own name. So I hope that helps. Do you have any savings? Either the 136,400 or the 102,400,000, which is now gone down to. If that is actually less than 10% of the value of the property, then you will need savings. It all depends on affordability as well, because there's one thing you can do, and I do it with a lot of my clients, is they've got the, like 30%, but what they're actually doing is borrowing another, say 20-30% on top of that, and they're using it for additional borrowing. But again, it is all down to, one, your credit profile, and two, your affordability. But if you're interested, great, that's great news. Okay, so those are the questions I've had so far. Let me see what are my other questions. The rest. Right, I am hearing a lot with the district valuer. This again is a right to buy question. The district valuer is in a habit of actually increasing you get it reviewed. Once they increase the value, unfortunately, you can't go back and ask for your original valuation. So all of those who are going and getting their valuations reviewed, just be aware that it could go either way. You might get more of a discount or you might not. I know one of the right to buy clients I had, they got it they're keeping what they agreed, and then others that have gone with the district valuer where it's been higher have actually turned around and said, I'm not doing that. Again, just so you're aware, obviously it will have a certain amount of recording, but if you want the whole recording, please check out my YouTube channel of the same name. And if you do go onto my YouTube channel, there's a free content there as well, so feel free to subscribe. Well, so I'm trying to keep both my channels live so I can give as much free advice to anyone that needs it. My application was put in. Okay, that's cool, we've done that. Right, what do I roughly need to earn as self-employed for a mortgage? I have a deposit. Right, the way it works is when you're looking at self-employed, so you've got self-employed limited company, self-employed sole trader. They will, if you're self-employed sole trader, they'll be looking at your self-assessment, so that's your SA 302s, tax calcs, tax overviews, and they will need 2 of them. Now, depending on how much you want the mortgage for. So say, for example, you want a mortgage, say you've got a deposit of £10,000 and you've got, you want a 90,000 deposit, mortgage, and you're buying a property for 100,000, then depending on what your self-assessment says, your tax returns, and then what credit commitments you've got will depend. So when you're working out your affordability, the first thing they look at is, yes, your income. So is it employed income? Then it will just be 3 months pay slips, and they normally like you to have 12 months of employee history, apart from if you're brand new. Then the next The next thing they look at is other source of income. If it's self-employed or self-employed sole trader or limited company, they'll look for your 2 years of accounts or self-assessment accounts. Then if it's benefits, they'll look at your award letters and your statements and things like that. And then whatever type of one that is, they'll look at your bank statements at least 3 months. So depending on also affect affordability. But then if you've got a pension, that can kind of override the limitations of your age, and there are 3 types of pensions. There's state pension, there's private pension, and then there's company pension. The next thing also, you can combat that as well. If you've got like 2 or 3 kids, then make sure you put your child benefit down as well, because that also can, your affordability be reduced because you've got kids that you've got to pay for, but then because you've got child benefit, that will increase it again. So, I mean, it won't be 100% either way, but it certainly does help. The next thing is, okay, so thanks everybody for their time, and that's been really good. Bye bye.